Sorry, I'm starting to record now.
Thank you.
Lieutenant Key?
Oh, there you are. Took me a second to find you. Oh, I'm asked you to unmute. There we go.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for your patience, Lieutenant Key.
Well, thanks for having me. Glad to be here tonight. Since our last meeting in June, we had 3 collisions and all of them were on Keenan Road. Just so happened 2 of them were on July 2nd and one was a solo DUI driver into a tree, and then the other collision was a person fell asleep and hit a tree in water main. And then the other crash that we had on July 21st involved a teen, and it looks like they were on their cell phone and they ran into a lawnmower. So just typical what happens with distracted driving. You know, you run off and hit something. Luckily, everything was just solo vehicle collisions, so nothing dramatic to report since the last meeting. The only thing that I really have is that we know school is going to be happening here soon, this next month, here in a couple weeks. So we're actually prepared to do some extra enforcement around the schools just to increase safety for the kids. And so you should see us around and about in the Oak Park area. Other than that, don't have anything else. And if you have anything for me, I'd be glad to accept any traffic complaints and address them accordingly.
Any questions from the audience, from the public, on residents on to Lieutenant Key, the CHP officer? If you would like to speak, you can raise your hand or raise your hand virtually on Zoom.
I'm not seeing any hands raised.
Okay. Thank you, Lieutenant Key. Really appreciate your work. Thank you for coming to the meeting.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We're going to move on to Senior Deputy Jones for the Sheriff's Department.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, they're doing some cleaning in the background, so sorry about that. Just like Lieutenant Key, glad to report, not a lot to report. We do have a couple of trends that are starting up with the South American deaf groups. Oh, hold on a second, man. She's bad timing on my part, but with the South American theft groups, we've had some trends that are starting. What they're doing now, instead of breaking into the homes, what they're tending to do is they're doing distraction. And what they'll do is usually restaurant owners or jewelry store owners, or excuse me for a second. She's almost done. Sorry about that.
Actually, I just wanted to let you know, we don't really hear the background noise, so you're fine. You don't have to worry about it. It's really being managed. Yeah, don't stress about it at all. We can hear you perfectly.
Okay, so with the South American theft groups, what they're doing now, instead of doing straight residential burglaries, they're starting to target specific individuals. We've seen restaurant owners, jewelry store owners, or jewelry salespeople. And what they'll do is they'll wait for them to leave the house, and then they will flatten the tires of the people that are at home, at the store or the restaurant, to get them to call the people to leave the house to come and help them. And then they'll burglarize the home, knowing that it's empty, because they've seen that people are staying home more. They're also calling more on suspicious activities. So you guys keep up that great work. You see something, you say something. We've been able to catch. We've been able to catch several people. In fact, on my other screen here, we just 2 weeks ago, we arrested 6 South American nationals, and they told us how they did give us some information on how they're doing stuff. And this was one of the trends that we have seen start, and surrounding agencies as well, both in Los Angeles, Orange County, and Santa Barbara counties have seen this trend start. So we expect it to pick up more. So if you guys own restaurants, if you're own a jewelry store or something like that, if you notice that your tires at work have been deflated, don't call your loved one to come and help you get AAA or something like that, because it's more than likely a targeted attempt to break into your home. And again, like I said, glad to report that there are no new crimes. And with just like our highway patrol partners, we know that school is getting ready to start soon. Captain Young has asked me to make sure that I get out there and that our patrol guys are out there also, just to make sure that people are slowing down, being more aware. And just like Venice said, with the new striping and everything, and the new lane delineators, both on Canaan and Churchwood in front of the elementary school. Also glad to report that Public Works told me just 2 days ago that any red zones in front of any of the schools will be completely painted before school starts. So you're going to see a lot of Public Works out there in front of the schools, making sure signage and red curbs are repainted.
Awesome. Any questions for Senior Deputy Jones of the Ventura County? Janice, you're muted, I think. You have to unmute.
I've asked you to. There you go.
Deputy Jones, how is the connection, or how do they know where a person lives? How do they find that information, and how's that attached to their business?
A lot of public records, public documentation. If you're a business owner and you're doing business as, a lot of people have their home addresses attached to either themselves or their businesses as well. And follow home also, they'll follow them home from the business to find out where they go home, and then they'll set up on that house, and they'll surveil it for a couple of days and see what the pattern is, and they go from there.
Any other questions for Senior Deputy Jones of the Ventura County Sheriff's Department? Thank you, Senior Deputy Jones. Appreciate your time coming to the meeting and your
Absolutely.
report. Thank you. We're going to move on to item number 6. We have the Director of Emergency Services, Patrick Maynard. Welcome.
Good evening, Chair Nye and members of the council, Supervisor Parks, and residents of Oak Park. Thanks for having me again. As was mentioned, my name is Patrick Maynard. I'm the Director of Emergency Services for the Ventura County Sheriff's Office. I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen here.
We can see it. Thank you.
Perfect. Fantastic. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. The goal of tonight's presentation is really to share a few pre-season preparedness tips regarding fire season, give you a few updates on some planning work that we're doing, and then answer any questions you have regarding any of those things. So we'll jump right into it. One of the first things I like to call out is the current fuel conditions in Ventura County. As you know, we're well into fire season. Typically, we don't see a lot of our winds start to materialize until later in the year, but we are into fire season right now. And as we start to see those warmer temperatures go later into the afternoon and night and evening, we start to see our fuel moisture start to decrease in the community. So this graph here shows us the fuel conditions throughout Ventura County, probably one of the closest areas out in TO, of course. You can see that trend line is well below the average, but we have not yet reached a critical level. So that critical level is that red line. And right now we're right in this area, but I would definitely predict that here within the next month or so, we will reach that critical level. And of course, fire season is going to be ripe and ready to rock and roll. You may be wondering why things are not at a critical level yet. while we are in a drought right now, we did receive some rain last year. So here locally, this is for the city of Ventura, but pretty common across our county. The city of Ventura received just shy of 11 inches of rain last year, which is obviously kept field moistures up just a little while longer than we traditionally see. You look at last year's rainfall, or I'm sorry, the previous year's rainfall, though, we were down at 3.44 inches here in the city of Ventura. So obviously we got a little rain this last year, but not quite what we need. And that's why we're in the drought that we're in, and ultimately leading us to a scary potential fire season. A lot of times they get asked, you know, where the potential fire could be in Ventura County. We all know we've been through a lot of fires. 2017, we had the Thomas fire. 2018, we had the Woolsey fire. How could we forget? We look at fire history maps to really kind of tell us where areas of vulnerability are. Not to say that something that hasn't burned, or that has burned recently isn't capable of burning. Just those fuels aren't as mature as they are in areas that haven't burned in quite some time. So we look to those areas that haven't burned in quite a while. So this map shows fires greater than 2,000 acres from 2010 present. You can see all the major fires that we've had recently, but we do see some areas of the county that haven't burned, in particular out in the northern portion of Simi Valley, between Simi Valley and Piru, and north of Fillmore and Piru. All of those areas, again, been quite some time since they've burned. If I back the map up a little further, back to 1975 to present, you see a lot more fires start to fill in that area north of Simi Valley, burned back in 2003, and you see some other fires out in Fillmore, Piru area. So as I mentioned before, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to burn this year. It's just those fuels are aging in those areas. That gives them time to recover, to grow, and you know, that's where potential rapid rates of spread may occur. We always look at these maps again to kind of give us an indicator of where potential trouble could be looming. So as I mentioned, last time Simi Valley, or the area north of Simi Valley, burned was about 19 years ago. Fillmore Piru area was about 24 years ago. Also Wildwood, Santa Rosa Valley area, almost 30 years ago. And much of the Los Padres National Forest is vulnerable. All that being said, once our fuels mature or dry out rather here in Ventura County, everything is susceptible to fire. And you know, that's why, of course, we need to take precautions. We need to prepare our homes. We need to ensure that we have adequate defensible space and all the stuff that we're really used to doing. So that was my little fire update. Now I'm going to jump into an evacuation update. So evacuation terminology that we use here in Ventura County has changed a bit. We've taken some steps here locally to standardize our terminology with the terminology used throughout the state of California. So what used to be referred to as a mandatory evacuation is now what we call an evacuation order. And really what that means is conditions exist that seriously imperil or endanger lives. The danger is imminent. So in other words, we want you to leave immediately. We don't want you to wait around. We don't want you to kind of wait till the fire moves a bit closer, the hazard increases a bit more. We want you to leave immediately when an evacuation order is issued. Again, evacuation order replaced mandatory evacuations. Under an evacuation warning, or what used to be a voluntary evacuation, that's kind of like your heads up. The threat to lives is not yet imminent, but there is a potential for whatever the hazard may be. Again, in this case, we're talking fire, for that fire to potentially impact your residence or your business. Now, we always recommend that any resident with any type of disability, access, or functional need heed the evacuation warning and take that opportunity to get out of their home at that point. Don't wait until things reach an evacuation order or what used to be a mandatory evacuation. That's too long. If you need more time to get out, we don't want you to wait and be rushed, be stuck in traffic. We all know the challenges, and we'll talk about them in just a second, out in Oak Park as it relates to evacuating. We saw many issues back in 2018 with people getting out of Oak Park. And as much as we want to first issue an evacuation warning and then potentially an evacuation order and kind of cascade things in that manner, time doesn't always permit you know, the escalation of warnings. So if it's a fast moving incident on a very windy day, you know, we suggest that you take action early. Don't wait for us to go to an order if we've only issued a warning. If you need that time to get out and do it quickly, especially if you require any type of assistance. The other term that we use is shelter in place. That's been around for a while, and typically we use a shelter in place order when there's some type of hazardous materials incident that may have some type of chemical plume or other hazard that's near your home. And really, because conditions are unsafe outside your home, we just recommend you stay inside. Stay inside, try to seal up any windows or doors that may leak air, and wait for further instructions. I alluded to this earlier, but obviously at Oak Park, there's a lot of evacuation challenges. There's limited ingress and egress, as we all know. And during the Woolsey fire, there were only a handful of options really available to people to go southbound. And everyone moving south at the same time just doesn't work. It resulted in a lot of traffic headaches. Ideally, we want to get out there, we want to get ahead of these incidents, and we want to give residents as much time as possible. The reality of the situation, and really the trend of what we're seeing nowadays, is these fires, especially during these peak wind events, are so fast moving. We don't have 2, 3, 4 hours to let people know they need to leave. Often we find out they need to leave, within a matter of minutes, and we issue those orders as quickly as possible. The other thing we try to do prior to issuing those orders is make sure that we're evacuating the right areas. And of course, all of that takes time. We've got that process down to a matter of minutes, but they do take time to organize. So that's something else we have to factor into things. The important message I want to convey to people watching this tonight is don't wait for us to tell you to leave. If you see smoke, if you see a fire, you're a resident of that area and you've been there through any one of the fires that have impacted Oak Park over the years, you know what the potential is. We've seen this before. Don't wait for us to tell you to leave. If for some reason we haven't issued an evacuation warning or order and you feel unsafe, leave. Pack up your stuff and get your belongings that you want and get out. Don't wait for us. Again, we do our best to work with the various agencies. We obviously work very closely with the fire department to determine potential spread of a fire, but like I said, with the changes in conditions that we're really seeing, especially 2017 forward, these fires are burning fast. These winds are pushing them. They're spotting very quickly, and really conditions can change quickly. So please, we ask, heed those evacuation warnings and orders. Don't wait till the threat's at your door. And anticipate significant delays, especially out in Oak Park. We know that, especially driving down Canaan, it's going to be tough to drive down Canaan if you choose to drive northwest on Canaan and potentially come down Westlake or Lindero. You may encounter delays that way, or potentially even fires. So plan ahead with your family. Plan ahead by talking to your neighbors. If you need help getting out, make those arrangements in advance and don't wait for the actual incident to occur to determine what you need to do. This is just a reminder, as if anyone has forgotten how fire surrounded Oak Park during the Woolsey fire. Incredibly challenging situation. Just wanted to take a minute to touch on some future evacuation planning efforts that we have going in the Office of Emergency Services. We certainly can't be the creators of new exits out of the community. There's no way to create new roads. There's certainly ways to educate the public and advise them on how to stay informed of these incidents and encourage them to prepare. But we really don't have a lot of options when it comes to doing a lot of planning or providing a lot of answers. All that being said, one thing we are working on is acquiring software. We actually have already been testing it, making sure it's what we want. That software will allow us to better plan and understand the potential pinch points and timelines associated with conducting an evacuation. So we essentially can go into a map and we can say, hey, the fire is starting at this particular location. We anticipate these particular conditions, and the system will be able to model the potential time it would take an evacuee to leave a neighborhood. Again, that's not really going to change a whole lot in a fast moving incident for us. We know that traffic will be horrible in Oak Park. That's just the nature of how the community is built and the number of ingress egress points. But it will allow us a little bit better understanding of where we can anticipate those pinch points. And if there are any actions we can take, we certainly want to do those. So again, things like this will definitely underscore the dangers associated with living in this community. But we do our best to keep you informed during an incident. Just a reminder, during any type of incident, flood, fire, earthquake, tsunami, you don't have to worry about that out in Oak Park, thankfully. We have the VC Alert Emergency Notification System. This is a a free system that we operate in all 10 cities and throughout all our unincorporated communities in Ventura County. The system sends out geographically targeted emergency messages during any incident of significance. It's very important to note that these messages are geographically targeted. So we often get calls, hey, my neighbor got a message, but I didn't, or somebody across the community got a message, but I didn't. These messages are targeted down to the street level. So when we go in to actually do evacuations, we utilize this system. This system is a force multiplier in that it can notify hundreds of thousands of people via text message, voice phone call, email, and actually even fax or page somebody if you still have either of those two devices around. It can do that a lot faster than we can get law enforcement out to knock on your door. Of course, we don't rely just on this system. We do send law enforcement out into the community to deliver those messages as well. But again, don't wait. If you feel that you are in harm's way, you see a fast moving fire coming your way, don't wait for us to tell you to leave. Please leave. Don't wait for these notifications to come through. Again, we've seen all too often these fast moving incidents. It takes time to get these messages out, to get law enforcement out there. And I don't want anyone to potentially endanger themselves by waiting for us to tell them to leave. Some other ways to stay informed aside from our notification system. This is kind of a recap. Many of you are aware of this website. All day, every day, we maintain vcemergency.com. And this website is what I always like to say, a non-denominational website. All jurisdictions of Ventura County use this website during a fast moving incident. So fires that span multiple cities, multiple communities, we will post information on this website, including road closures, fire perimeters, evacuation perimeters. All that information is at this one-stop location. So don't worry about going to the fire department website. Don't worry about going to the sheriff's office website or any other website. Go to vcemergency.com. This website is representative of a joint effort between all those agencies to just get information out to our residents as quickly and efficiently as possible. One of the cool things on that website is this incident dashboard. And this particular dashboard works best from a computer. We don't have a version it does open on your mobile phone, but it's not as easy to view just because of all the features. But this one-stop dashboard offers you all the information you need, including where evacuations are. And if you click on an evacuation, it'll zoom into that community. It'll provide information on any road closures that we're aware of. During those super fun public safety power shutoffs, we list those public safety power shutoffs in here, as well as all of our evacuation centers. So this is a feature on our website. And before we ever issue any type of evacuation order, we always update this, and we do it again in a matter of minutes. We can draw a shape like this in the mapping system and publish it in less than 3 minutes. Get that out and published, and then we'll hit send on that emergency notification that's going to call you, that's going to text message you, and you'll be advised of the evacuation order. And if you need more information, you can come to this website and see a visual of what you've just been advised of over the phone. So as you can imagine, sometimes it's hard to convey all this information over the phone. So we always want this website up to date anytime we're dealing with an evacuation scenario. Just a couple other quick updates. Public safety power shutoffs, probably my least favorite thing to deal with in emergency management, but something that does consume quite a bit of our time. I know we've all been victim of public safety power shutoffs. The good news is SoCal Edison has really been doing quite a bit of work over the last couple of years to improve their grid, or harden their grid, as they like to say. And SoCal Edison is estimating this year a potential 35% reduction in PSPS events in Ventura County, thanks to their work. So they've been working hard, installing covered conductor, reducing the size of circuits, installing various switches to segment down the impact of shutting off circuits. So hopefully we do see a decrease in those events, but there is still very much a potential. And there's science to when these PSPS events occur. It's not just when it's windy. We need to see a good wind with low relative humidities and a heat component to be eligible for PSPS. So SoCal Edison does a relatively good job of forecasting those potential events, and they always make us aware of those. Of course, we try to make residents aware of the PSPS potential events as well. So if there is a PSPS that may impact the community of Oak Park, expect to receive a notification from our VC alert notification system. We try to send those out around 24 hours in advance. So if you have any type of disability, access, or functional need, if you're dependent on some type of medical equipment that requires electricity, you have time to take action and prepare. So make sure that you register for that VC alert system. Back to our dashboard that I showed just a second ago, one of the things that we do show, and Denise was talking about this prior to this meeting starting, we have our public safety power shutoff dashboard where you can go in and actually zoom in down to your community. This is the city of Fillmore, and see the different circuits. And when you click on those circuits, they will identify which circuit you live within, how many customers are in those areas. And during an event, it'll let you know if your circuit's being monitored for potential shutoffs. You can see right now, this is just a screenshot, but the circuit area outlined in blue is being monitored for a potential shutoff within 24 hours. And then the circuit in red is actually where a PSPS has been initiated. So there's areas without power or areas with limited power. We put a lot of effort into keeping this up to date during a PSPS event. And if you've ever gone to the SoCal Edison website during any of these conditions and tried to make heads or tails of their map, it's very difficult. So I encourage you to check out this website ahead of a PSPS event. They will happen. Oak Park has been hit by these events numerous times. So please check this out. Again, it's on vcemergency.com. I always like to take a moment to remind our residents of the SCE battery backup program. SCE offers free battery backups to power medical devices in the event of a power outage. Right now, there's what we estimate to be just shy of 2,000 Ventura County residents that require electricity to power some type of medical device. That medical device could be something as significant as a ventilator for somebody that needs assistance breathing. It could be something as simple as a CPAP to help with sleep apnea. Whatever the case may be, you require electricity. If you don't have that, that can pose a problem for you. So SoCal Edison does offer these free Goal Zero battery backup devices and a solar panel to charge them. They're pretty cool. It's well over $500 in value. And if you have some type of medical device, I can't emphasize enough, please go to SoCal Edison's website, SCE.com, or if you are curious, the PowerPoint has a hyperlink link here that you can click on and request one of those battery backups. Again, they're free of charge. Lastly, I just want to take a moment to point out our new preparedness website that we have here in Ventura County. The website is readyventuracounty.org. We just spent quite a bit of time and effort into redoing this website. This website is available in English and Spanish, and really the goal is to educate our residents here in Ventura County on the various hazards that may impact you in your neighborhood. So we know of fire, we know of the potential for rain, but many people don't know they might live in an area that is at high stakes for something like liquefaction, or there's a number of hazards that impact our county. This website talks about many of those hazards, and it gives you several tips on how you can potentially prepare for them. In addition, we share many of our disaster plans in an effort to be transparent. So all of our county's disaster plans, including our emergency operations plan and our hazard mitigation plan, are all listed under the county plans page. And I just would like to encourage you all to check out this website. It's got a great amount of information. And lastly, I just want to say thanks for the time and really share with you that we need your help. One thing I committed to when I took on the director role here with the Sheriff's Office of Emergency Services is being as open and transparent as possible with residents about the hazards we face and our ability to respond to those. And all too often, we rely on government to solve all of our problems. Most days, government does a pretty darn good job, but I will tell you, as it relates to these large fires, potential catastrophic earthquake, there are a lot more residents than there are fire engines, police cars, ambulances, hospitals, you name it. And what that really means is we need your help. We need your help, being prepared to take care of your family, to help take care of your community. So with that, we ask you, stay informed. Stay informed by going to vcemergency.com. Learn how to make a plan and build a kit by going to readyventuracounty.org. And lastly, get involved. Oak Park has a great CERT team. I know Diane Starzak out there has been heavily involved in that, as well as numerous other residents. Get involved with CERT, take a CPR class, do what you can to help out your community prepare. we need your help. And I really want to be honest about that. We need your help in preparing. So with that, that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, I want to start before everybody starts raising their hand. I wanted to start with the board. JL, do you want to go first?
Yes, yes, I would like to thank you very much, Chairman John. Thank you very much for your presentation, Director.
Patrick Maynard. Yeah.
Patrick, I'm looking at my my notes. Thank you very much, Director Patrick Maynard. Thank you very much for that presentation. As part of what we're doing with the Oak Park Fire Safe Council, would like to introduce myself as the chairman of that organization. And with this presentation and knowing you now, would like to coordinate with you on how to make sure that we are better prepared and informed as a community. So expect some coordination or call from our council. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Diaz, for that. I'll just quickly share with you as it relates to the Fire Safe Council, and I meant to mention this earlier, so you jogged my memory. We just received notification about 2 weeks ago that we had received a $380,000 grant from CAL FIRE and State Fire Safe Council to conduct evacuation planning in the high fire severity areas. We expect to be able to utilize that money to do quite a bit of planning. So really look forward to working with all the fire safe councils out there on that project.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to working with you on that as well.
Seema, do you have any questions or comments for Patrick Maynard?
Yeah, thanks, Jane. Patrick, I had one question was, I know in Los Angeles County, they require safe gas shutoff valves, automatics. And I don't think we have that in Ventura County for earthquakes and something. Do you have any comments on that, whether we should install those at our homes?
I personally think they're a great tool. They're actually not too expensive anymore. The biggest headache with them is they do obviously have to be professionally installed because of what you're doing. I would definitely encourage residents to think about those. Presently, it's not required. It's kind of down to the jurisdiction and the local requirements. But I would definitely encourage a resident to spend the money. I personally bought mine on Amazon and I winged it and I was able to install it. They're not very much money for what they do. So I would definitely encourage people to do that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because in the past, they cost quite a bit to have someone professionally come in and install that.
Yeah, no, the valve itself is right around $100. So they've come down in price quite a bit. Again, the installation is a challenge. It just depends on how your gas meter is set up. But if you're a good do-it-yourself project person, then it's certainly worth a shot. They're very simple to install once you get the pipes apart. But if not, I'm sure a plumber would be happy to help you out with that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Janice, do you have any comments or questions for Director Maynard?
Thank you very much for that great presentation. I have a question. Is there a list of where someone can go if they can't go to a hotel or motel where the excuse me, I'm losing my voice tonight. I've been talking too much. Do you have a list somewhere? Where's it posted?
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for the question. What we use now is what are called temporary evacuation points. So these are coordination points that we have set up for residents to actually go and meet our fine individuals from our Ventura County Human Services Agency, as well as our partners from the American Red Cross. We've got 7 of these countywide. They're receiving points where you just basically go and check in. At those receiving points, once you check in, they will make a determination as to whether you're best suited to go to a congregate shelter, or potentially if you have some type of disability, access, or functional need, they may actually put you up in a hotel or motel regardless of whether or not you can pay for it. All of those locations are listed on our map in real time, and you'll see the symbology. They say TEP on them. The closest one to the Oak Park community is in Thousand Oaks. It's typically at the teen center out there. Right now it's been temporarily moved, and the location, the name of it slipping my brain, but they are on the map, and when they're activated during an incident, they're one of the items that you'll see under evacuation centers on that dashboard. As it relates to congregate sheltering, those 7 locations, those temporary evacuation points, aren't the only locations that we have for shelter. We've got well over 100 different multi-purpose type facilities across Ventura County that we partner with the American Red Cross to actually utilize to be able to house evacuees during an incident. So we like to look at the incident, make a determination as to which direction it's going to travel, and then hopefully choose the best shelter that's out of harm's way, if at all possible. It doesn't always work out that way, but that's what we try to do. So some of it is pre-published, some of it's kind of taken on a case-by-case basis because we don't want people just showing up to any location.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you. So now we're going to open it up to see if anybody else has any comments or questions for Director Maynard. Please click on the reactions tab down below and raise your hand. We'll call on you. I'm going to let everybody speak for 3 minutes at the most because we have a huge audience tonight. I want to make sure everybody gets heard. So, Venice, do you want to help me or should I start?
Sure. I saw Carolyn's hand and I also have
Okay.
Hannah Orkney's hand.
Okay, we'll start with Carolyn.
I've asked you to unmute.
I'm going to start your timer when we can hear you, Carolyn.
I've asked you to unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Hi, I've spoken several times at the MAC meetings with regards to Oak Park being in the worst 1% of the state when it comes to population to evacuation route ratios. And we are definitely dependent upon the people, especially in the eastern side of Oak Park, on going down Canaan Road as an evacuation. And I would like to know what is being done to coordinate for our communal fire safety for evacuation with the city of Agora Hills, as well as the county of Los Angeles. If there's any coordinated efforts being made so that we all in Oak Park can evacuate safely. And there's a tremendous population that is evacuating down Canaan Road when it's combined with the people from Agora Hills also. So it's a huge issue and we are in great jeopardy if we have another fast moving wildfire. So I'd like to ask what's being done to coordinate with our neighbors in Agora Hills and in Los Angeles County for the safety of all of us that use Canaan Road as an evacuation.
Thanks, Carolyn.
And thanks,
Director
Carolyn.
Maynard.
Thanks, Carolyn, for the question. And it's definitely a serious and scary topic. We regularly communicate with Los Angeles County regarding incidents. So whether the incident is in our jurisdiction and potentially going to impact LA County or vice versa, we're regularly talking to both the law enforcement side as well as their Office of Emergency Management about what we can do to better communicate with residents during these times, both ahead of these incidents and during these incidents. I'm going to refer back to something I said earlier, however. Sometimes these incidents move very quickly.
Yes.
It does not change the size of the road. It does not change the number of ingress and egress points. And that's really where we look back to the community and say, hey, we recognize that this is a challenging area. And until more ingress or egress points are put in there, there's really no magical answer to improving this. The best we can do is try to get you as early notice as possible. We don't want to over evacuate and potentially ask you to leave when it's not necessary, but time is of the essence when these things happen. So the sooner we can let residents know that they need to leave, we're going to do that. And I think at times, especially looking back into 2018 with the Woolsey fire, there was a lot going on that particular day.
Right.
Situational awareness was very poor during that incident as to the potential fire spread. So we do have a lot of new technology that allows us to have more real-time understanding of where fire is and where it potentially will spread to. But that doesn't, again, wave a magical wand over this situation. Again, we ask you to take early action. When you see smoke, you know what potentially can happen out there. We're going to ask you, please evacuate early until there's a better solution.
All right. Thank you, Patrick Maynard. We're going to move on to Jana.
I've asked you to unmute.
Hi,
Okay.
thank you. Director Maynard, are you working or commenting with Agora Hills right now on their SCIR and their general plan update, where they are possibly putting up to 500 plus housing units at the corner of Thousand Oaks Boulevard and Canaan? You know, we could have a perfect evacuation in Ventura County, but we don't have direct access to the 101. And we could absolutely jam up if they go ahead with this. So it is due for final approval August 10th at the City Council. And I want to know what Ventura is doing.
Yeah, thank you for that question. Obviously, a hot topic question. We have discussed it with the fire department. Unfortunately, obviously, we don't have a lot of control over the development. I will say this when it comes to evacuations. In the grand scheme of things, while that development is large, the addition of that development, it's really hard to determine how much it will or will not impact. We know it's a lot of potential additional cars on the roadway, but we don't know exactly what that looks like. That's where that software will really come in handy and help us better model potential traffic spread or traffic flow rather through those areas. So back to your original question, what are we doing? We have discussed it with the fire department, but there beyond that is really no active conversation regarding that.
All right, we're going to move on to Lynn Rollo.
Actually, my question was answered. Lynn Rollo, Oak Park. Wanted to know if you have been in touch with the mayor regarding this SEIR and what you guys have discussed as far as trying to dissuade them from putting in these buildings. I know you say there's not much that you can do, but I'm sure that if, you know, the fire department and Ventura County Services discussed this with them and said that this is not a good idea. In fact, it's the worst idea I've ever seen anybody make. It's just atrocious. So I'm hoping that Ventura County can try and dissuade them. And we've also gone to the state and we're waiting on hearing from the state. I anticipate at least another 1,000 cars on the road. And we were very fortunate to leave early during the Woolsey fire. We left around 8 o'clock and we were able to get housing, and a lot of people were not able to do that. And I'm not sure whether you've been aware of PEC, Preserve Evacuation Canaan Corridor, Canaan Road, but we've been fighting them since last October. And we have pictures of that evacuation on that night, and it's just frightening. And I'm just very glad that we left early. I don't think that the next time another wildfire comes through here, we're going to be that lucky. I think, you know, it could be a situation like Paradise, where people literally abandoned their cars and ran for their lives. And I find this a life and death situation, and I can't believe that these people are making these decisions. So I don't know what else you can do, but whatever you can do to try and dissuade them, we appreciate it. That's all I have.
Thank you, Lynn. Again, if anybody has any comments or wants to speak, please click on the reactions and raise your hand and we'll call on you. I don't know, let's see, I see Michelle, but I'm not sure the other person. SEP, S-E-P, is that your name or is that, anyway, I'm not sure if that's an abbreviation.
Okay,
So,
when it's, I've unmuted Michelle, and then I'll get
okay,
to
Michelle, okay,
after Michelle.
thank you.
Good evening, and thank you, Director Maynard. And my fellow Oak Park residents, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe what we heard during last week's Agoura Hills Planning Commission meeting, that the traffic study that was done is that during the Woolsey fire, it took 30 to 40 minutes for the Oak Park residents to evacuate down Canaan. And with the additional development that is being considered at Canaan and TO, that time would increase by 10 minutes. So that to me is pretty significant. 30 to 40 minutes already was too long. But if the development, the maximum that they're looking at to increase it by another 10 minutes seems to be pretty significant. So I would encourage Ventura to do whatever possible to have a discussion with the Agoura City Hills Council and try and understand what could occur and to have some type of impact in their decision on August 10th.
Thank you, Michelle. We're going to move on to SEP. Is that your name? I'm sorry if I'm just reading what's on your screen. So
correct. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay,
is that your name?
That's my name. I'm
okay.
yeah, so I'm an
Thank you.
Oak Park resident.
for the minutes? Can I get your full name?
Step Hendizadeh,
Can you spell that for me?
Hen. I'll type it for you.
Thank you. Oh, yeah, chat's fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Sep. Sorry, it's just it keeps our minutes clean. Thank you.
Got it. All right. So I moved out here from Encino to Oak Park because in Encino, Los Angeles County, they were building these mixed use commercial buildings and everything. Encino was amazingly peaceful, no issues whatsoever. And then they built these, they built a CVS, they built apartment building on top of it. The noise got out of hand, this crime started, it just became ridiculous. Encino is no longer, as you know, it's Encino, okay? The property values are still there, but it's not Encino. My thing is that if we do build these 3 shopping centers in Canaan and Thousand Oaks, we will be horrified. It's the most dangerous thing you could do to be able to build that. It's just a hazard. And I'm just really against this project. I fear for my safety. I really do. This cannot happen. And that's it.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak to Director Maynard before we move on to the next item on our agenda? Anybody else? Any hands raised? Any that I'm missing?
I'm looking and I'm not, oh, I have one more
I see
hand.
one. Mark?
Yes. Actually I have 2. So
Okay.
I saw Anna Grichenko. Where are you?
Yes, that's me. Hi,
Here you are.
I have a question about school evacuation. If you know, Oak Park is unique in the sense that schools, it's a district of choice. So we have kids from around, from everywhere, from LA, from Ventura County. Everybody drives them in, and we don't have school buses because Oak Park doesn't have budget for school buses. Is there a plan how kids are going to be evacuated in the event of fire?
That's a great question. Certainly a predicament in those areas. What I can tell you is schools have a responsibility to have a plan in place for those types of incidents. I'm not familiar with what Oak Park's plan is, but I'm happy to reach out and find out and get back to you. One other thing to mention as it relates to mass transit during an emergency, we do have a number of contracts that we have available to us to activate transportation resources. But when it comes to evacuating the school, of course, getting buses out there in a timely manner would certainly be a challenge. So I'd have to look to the school for their exact answer, but I'm happy to do so and get back to you.
Mark, do you still have a question? Mark Piesco?
Yes, I've asked you to unmute. Oh, you're not quite unmuted yet. Did you click the?
Mark, you need to.
There you go.
There you go. Yep.
Did you do it?
Good evening, everyone.
Yes.
Yeah, I would just kind of like to express my concern. I'd also like to say hello to Patrick. We saw each other last night, and it was a great ceremony. And I'd just like to thank the MAC for all their help, and Jana especially, and also to address maybe this to Linda Parks also, is that what is, leaving, once we were given the order to evacuate, Canaan was out of the picture. So everybody tried to get down through Red Oak Elementary to get on to Lindero, because trying to make that Westlake was closed off. So Westlake Boulevard was closed off. So Canaan was down, Lindero was pretty much down. We had no way of getting out. And it's known that we have one of the worst evacuation scenarios in the state. And it just concerns me that how the city cannot, or of Agoura Hills, not that we don't love our neighbors, and because we all shop and vice versa, that they cannot figure out some other venue to come across than to try to use this, because this is just a disaster, waiting for it to happen if an event does happen. So I'm just very, very concerned about if there's anything that, that Ventura County can do as far as bringing every possible thing to bear upon their city council, that here we are in little old park, but we can't get out. And that's going to be tragic. And so that's all I have to say. And I just like to thank everybody for their service, and hopefully that something could be hopefully resolved. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I know I see hands from SEP and Carolyn again, but we're going to have everybody just speak for the 3 minutes. You've already taken your time, so we're going to continue to go on. I hope everything was addressed when you had a chance to speak. Director Maynard, anything else you want to wrap up with?
Yeah, thanks, Sharon. I appreciate the opportunity to speak, and I hear the community's concerns loud and clear. As it relates to these issues, we're not directly involved in the planning or the plan review process. We occasionally are asked an opinion on these issues, but of course, we're not directly involved in them. What I can share with you and what I'm willing to do is reach out to a couple of colleagues and share some of our concerns and see what we can do from our level to potentially echo some of these issues. I certainly see the issue. The other thing I'd throw out there for consideration, and potentially something Supervisor Parks could consider, we know that we're not going to easily add additional egress points to the community. It's hard to add new roads in a developed community. So what can we do to reduce the hazard? And that may mean looking at the hillsides in the surrounding area and potentially passing some type of new ordinance to increase our defensible space in those areas. I know that may potentially, butt into some special areas, but that is something to consider, as well as many of the other tactics that the Fire Safe Council is great at suggesting for hardening those areas. So again, just something to throw out there for consideration. I'm sure it's been thought of, but our options are somewhat limited here.
Supervisor Parks, did you want to say something in response, or do you want to wait till your agenda item? I wasn't sure.
I'm glad that Mr. Maynard was here and being able to provide information about what we have in store in terms of evacuation procedures. I think that was really helpful to hear. I really like the mapping tool that we have available. You could just draw a circle on a map and boom, everyone can get a reverse 911 call. I think that's really important. Communication has to be the best. And I think that broke down a little bit in the fire, and acknowledging that and focusing on how we can do better, I think, is what's been going on with our after action reports and all. So I know that there's some new software that the county is purchasing that will also enhance our ability to ensure good communications during evacuations. And what the community has mentioned regarding the making sure that we're in good communication with the city of Agoura Hills is really key. And our different fire departments, our fire department and all the other ones, they do work and do training exercises routinely. They know each other. And I think that really helps when it comes to emergency situations. As far as clearing more land, a lot of studies that we've seen don't necessarily show that that will reduce the threat to homes as much as hardening the houses. And I know our Fire Safe Council is going to be pretty instrumental in helping people to see how they can make their homes safer. But I would hesitate to say clearing, more acres of land will protect the homes in the urban area.
Director Maynard, anything else you want to wrap up with? Thank you so much for your time to come to the meeting and talk to us. Appreciate it.
No problem, my pleasure. And I'm just going to let a couple people know on the Zoom tonight. I'm reaching out to you via the chat to get some contact information from you. So please, if that's on there, please respond.
And I think the best thing, I don't know, Venice, I think if everybody can work through Venice to go communicate back and forth, that's a wonderful way to do it.
I can put my email in the chat as well.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to move on to agenda item number 7, which is the Thousand Oaks Police Department, the Volunteers in Policing Program. Venice, do we have somebody here from the Thousand Oaks Police Department?
I believe we have Yesenia, but I don't know. Yesenia, if you could raise your hand, I don't know if you're on a Zoom or. Oh, okay. I've asked you to unmute. Oh, there you are. Hi. Oh, wait, I've asked you to unmute. Hold on one second.
Oh, I see.
There, oh, because it said Juan.
I know,
Yeah.
that's what I was saying. Not everybody's
Right.
picture says the correct name, so please help us and correct us. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
So I'm here to discuss the Volunteers in Policing program. This is a program that has been in the Thousand Oaks community for many, many years, way before I started working for the department. And they started providing services for Oak Park since 2019. Because of the pandemic, they took a break. They were sent home, since these are volunteers, and typically my volunteers are people that are retired. They're the most vulnerable for COVID, so they did take a break. The return from the pandemic, we came back in I believe it was May 2021, and I want to say half of my staff came back. But we are out there providing services for Oak Park. This year, we've provided 89 extra patrols, so they drive around the community just to make sure that everything looks okay. They're being visible. They talk to citizens. They make citizen contacts. We do vacation house checks. So if you're going to go away and go on vacation, we provide a free service where we will come to your home and make sure that everything looks okay. The doors aren't open, windows are broken into, just making sure that your home is safe while you're on vacation and give you that peace of mind. And that's something that is done through the Resource Center or through me. You can contact me directly, and we put that into our database, and we go ahead and do that. And just since the beginning of the year, like I said, half of my staff came back, and we're very limited on the days that we're out there right now. I typically have people out 3 days a week. And we make a point to go ahead and visit the Oak Park community to make sure that we're visible there. Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question, but let's start with JL. I'm going to start with the board first. JL, do you have any comments or questions for Yesenia? Yeah, Yesenia.
Okay, JL, I'm sorry, I'm looking for you. There, I've asked you to unmute, JL.
Yes, thank you. I don't have any. I have a question though. How many requests did you get from Oak Park from last year?
From 2021, give me 1 second since we came back. So vacation house checks, we've only had 3, but we've had 216 extra patrols. We've had 2 service calls where we were dispatched to handle a call. So my volunteers also take reports. So if it's something minor where there's no suspect information or something such as like a graffiti, they can go ahead and take that report. Typically they can be there within 10-15 minutes. Just, if a deputy's busy on a call, my volunteers can go ahead and handle those type of calls.
Thank you.
Janice, do you have any comments or questions for Yesenia?
I've asked you to unmute.
Yes, how do we get in touch with someone to come check something out in our community? So we see something.
If you see something, then you would have to call dispatch. So something that's unusual, that has to go to our dispatch and not through the volunteers. So if it's, if you see something, say something, you call our 805-654-9511. So I'll say it. So 805.
Oh, yeah, I'll put it in the chat. Sorry.
Okay.
805.
654. 9511, and that's our non-emergency dispatch line. So if you see anything suspicious, a car that has been sitting there or somebody, that's the number you're going to call, and they'll send somebody out, and they're going to contact a deputy, and somebody's going to go and check that out.
So
I've got a question. Is that Thousand Oaks Police or is that Sheriff?
We're the same. So the city of
Okay.
Thousand Oaks contracts to the sheriff's department.
Okay, okay, thank you.
That's 805-654-9511.
Correct.
And that's 24/7?
Yes, that's the same line that our 911 operators answer, but this is the non-emergency side.
So if we want a vacation house check, how do we contact?
You can contact me directly. Let me get you my desk line. I don't call myself, so I don't have that number handy. Or does Denise, do you want me to go ahead and just, you can send information out? You have
That
all
would be great. That would be great. So, Seema, any comments or questions?
Yeah, I had a question. So what are the hours that your volunteers in policing, you said 3 days a week, and what roughly hours are they working?
So they make their own schedule because they're volunteers. I typically right now I have people out Monday, Wednesday, and they're usually out from 8 to 1. But I have some people come out on Fridays or Saturdays, just depending on their availability. They're donating their time, so they typically make their own schedule.
So, yeah, so that makes it really, residents have no idea then, right, when they're available or not. So I'm just a little concerned that we're not really getting, I've never seen them out there myself. Can they be parked like in a visible spot sometimes, or they're always driving around?
They're typically driving around. I know that they go to the shopping center there because they give me a log when they come back and said this is where we were. But they typically don't sit around. They just walk around or drive around the areas.
Okay, because Oak Park MAC we're just re-looking at everything. So we wanted to see what impact they're really having in our society.
Mm-hmm.
And also the numbers help too, like if they made any call, they went and took reports, vacation checks. We want to reevaluate all that. That's one of our concerns.
Yes, so, and like I said, my program has been cut in half due to the pandemic, and I still have people that are kind of on a temporary leave because they're still concerned. So what we had back in 2019 and what we have now is completely different, and it's a work in progress.
Oh yeah, I understand. Is there any way you can put out the word that maybe you're recruiting? Are you recruiting new people, new volunteers?
Yes. So we are actively recruiting. I started in August 2021 with this new role. They brought me back when we were able to come back. And since the start of mine, I have 4 new volunteers. So it's, a little bit of, it's been a struggle, but we are actively recruiting, and I have been going to job fairs or volunteer fairs through the Global Center and trying to recruit people.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's it, Jane.
Thank you, Yesenia. Is there anything else you want to wrap up with? We appreciate you coming to the meeting tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
If there are any comments from the public, I don't see any hands raised, but.
All right, we're going to move on to item number 8, which is
Yesenia.
Supervisor Parks.
Thank you. A couple of things I can talk about countywide. Our board did approve the fiscal year CSA4 budget as recommended by your MAC. Let's see. We also at the last meeting approved making a flag, and I think Venice had
I do.
of it, so the county now has an official flag.
Hold on 1 second.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
Share it.
The same
go.
element, our seal, and as you may recall, the seal went through a whole process of getting the public opinions, and people chose this image in the seal, and now this will become a county flag, and maybe we can get the MAC a flag for your meetings too.
Fabulous.
That was exciting. Let's see. We had our agricultural commissioner give us a report, and strawberries are still #1 in the county of Ventura. I didn't think I knew, but lemons actually there are more lemons produced in Ventura County than anywhere else in the United States. So it might even be the lemon capital of the world. So we may not have known all that. The Agricultural Commissioner also has been working with the Resource Conservation District in distributing native milkweed plants for monarch butterflies. We just recently by an international organization declared endangered. One of the things that is beneficial to have these new plants out there is because he has also been involved through work with my office to work with the state to make it prohibited to grow tropical milkweed. That nurseries can't sell tropical milkweed in Ventura County anymore, and other counties are following suit because the tropical milkweed, while beautiful, ends up actually hurting monarch butterflies for various reasons, including a type of parasite that gets onto the butterfly. And also, it was interesting hearing him describe it, but I know it also keeps monarchs from doing their migration. And the way the Agricultural Commissioner described it was they eat so much of this tropical milkweed, they like bulk up and they're like, they've got such big muscles, they can't fly. But that was one way of describing it. Basically, the tropical milkweed's out and we're giving away free narrow leaf milkweed, and that will help the butterflies. And the National Park Service has grown thousands of these narrow leaf milkweeds, and it's great that they're having these giveaway programs. Also, I'm gonna, we were talking a lot about fire safety, and I don't think I had an opportunity to mention yet at the Oak Park back, but in Ventu Park, they have a fire safe council, and we have been working with trying to get parking prohibited on red flag days on those narrow, windy streets in Ventu Park. And it's been difficult trying to figure it out, but we were delighted when the CHP stepped up and said that they would enforce it. So the fire department is looking at moving to prohibit parking on red flag days on the street, because you can't get a fire truck up on those narrow streets if people are parked along the sides of them. And then also people need to evacuate out, and sometimes that happens at the same time a fire engine's trying to get up. You've got people trying to leave, and then you have cars on the side of the street, and trying to back up a fire engine is not a pretty sight. So we have had a wonderful fire safe council meeting where we probably had 40, 50 people from Ventu Park come to the Stagecoach Museum. And when we asked about whether they would support this, I'd say 95% raised their hands, which was really nice to see. But to make sure that this is something that the community supports, we're doing a survey up there where people can fill it out and send us a postcard. And I just also want to congratulate the Oak Park Fire Safe Council on achieving their funding goal for community assessment and working towards becoming a fire-wise community. I know the Santa Rosa Valley MAC is also jealous of what Oak Park has achieved. And so you guys are being leaders there. Thank you, JL, for your work on that. And now I'm going to turn it over to Venice for just a brief a description of what's happening on Los Arcos. This has been a problem area over the years, and I just want to let you know the changes, and I'll turn it over to Venice to describe.
Sure. So I did get a follow-up from Public Works Agency, Roads and Transportation. And they said that right turn only sign there at Los Arcos and Canaan was a result of an ongoing safety issue for the neighboring elementary school, Oak Hills Elementary. It was coordinated with the superintendent, Jeff Davis, the Oak Park Unified School District staff, and CHP. Due to limited sight distance, some citizen complaints, a recent collision history, and traffic counts that they did out there. So they had the data. Public Works said they will release communications through social media to the surrounding neighborhoods through their communications consultant. And traffic staff will be present during the first week of school to verify that the safety enhancements are being effective. They're not creating other issues that can't be mitigated by these changing behaviors. And the reason it was added as a safety enhancement is because they found it was very difficult to turn left due to the curve on the roadway, crossing multi-lanes including a curb median, restricted site visibility due to the median and trees. So again, they're going to be getting some communications out to the residents with information out shortly. They didn't give me an exact date, but they will get it out there before school starts.
But those changes are already in place. They
They're in
showed up
place.
yesterday. Yes.
Right, right.
I had a
That's
quick
how we
question.
found out.
I had a quick question, Venice. Is this going to be enforced all the time or only during school hours?
That is a good question.
They
What
do
I
have
read,
signs, they do have signs that limit it during the school hours, but the turns, but they have major changes with the dividers in the road so that you'll never be able to turn left from Los Arcos onto Canaan. They have dividers that prevent that.
Okay.
But some of the other traffic decisions of not being able to go one way or the other are limited to school hours, Monday through Friday.
oh, right,
But
and
those
also
are the signs that are posted.
they said that residents that want to go east on Canaan would have to go up Los Arcos to the Los Arcos Churchwood stop sign, turn right and head to the signal at Churchwood
Correct.
Canaan to make a safe, protected left turn.
That's correct. It's significant. I live on Churchwood, so it's a significant change for the residents here. It was kind of a shock to see it happen with no notifications. It just showed up yesterday. So.
JL, did I unmute?
Yes.
Yeah, you did. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Supervisor Parks, thank you very much for your comment regarding the Fire Safe Council. And the idea of no parking during red flag days is, we didn't know about that. That's a very good idea. And hopefully we can do something similar here in Oak Park. But one thing I would like to ask you, because last year's town hall for fire safety was a big success, and we would like to do something similar during this, especially, we're entering the fire season, and the council would like to coordinate with your office to for another town hall event for this fire season. So hopefully we can do something sometime September, October.
Yeah, I would be delighted to assist, and hopefully there won't be any fires to keep our fire safety folks away, but I think that would be great to do that. I'd be happy to do it. I also just want to mention I am off-site here, so I'm able to stay for the full meeting, but if there are any other questions, I'm happy to answer them, and look forward to putting something together with your help, JL.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Supervisor Park?
I do not see any hands raised.
Thank you, Supervisor Parks. Appreciate your time.
All right, thank you so much.
We're going to move on to council comments, item number 9. We'll start with JL. You were speaking. Anything else you want to bring up?
Yes, as what Supervisor Parks mentioned, we are fully funded as far as the assessment is concerned, and that is on its way right now. That is going to finish, the ETA for that is the end of September. And we are raising funds from various Fire Safe Council, from SCE, to fund some fuel abatement or some activities to lessen the fire situation around us, the fire risk situation around us. So more on that later on from the Fire Safe Council once we launch our website and become active in social media. And the first thing that we're going to do is have a campaign of doing assessment for all the houses here in Oak Park. There are 2 coordinating agencies that we're working with who will help everyone. Basically, they're going to walk around your house for about 1 hour and point out things that can help you reduce, or improve your fire safety rather for your property. So that campaign is on its way, especially now that we're entering the fire season, and that's our priority for Oak Park Fire Safe Council. Another thing that I would like to report on is the Rancho Simi Valley Parks. approve the use of drone for the parks, but just like to let you know that they did not approve anything or any area here in Oak Park that you can fly drones. So just to inform everyone, because the fire safe, the council, the Oak Park Committee Council for the parks did not, they voted not to have any area that you can fly drones. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, JL. Seema, do you have anything you'd like to bring up?
No, today I don't have any comments. Thank you.
Janice, how about you?
Oh, sorry. I've asked you to unmute, Janice.
Thank you, Denise.
You're welcome. I couldn't find you.
Well, I had a personal incident here recently. I found and I'm pretty 100% sure that I found a poisoned dead rat right in my own yard. And I'm just only on Pinion Street near Mayboyer. And so, of course, I had immediate concern because I have dogs. And then when I posted this in Nextdoor, I found out that there were 4 poison rats in Mayboyer Park. And we do have a family of owls near us. So I made a note, passed it out to my Pinion Street neighbors to give them a heads up and the phone number to the sheriff's department of who to call if, because it is illegal if they find out who is doing this. But I want to give you a heads up. I did get back, Benice got back to me and told me that the school district did not find dead rats, but they found something else. What was it, Benice?
Oh, no, they just noted that the
Rancho Simi
was doing
using
some oral
ground
abatement.
squirrel abatement.
Right.
So that could impact the rats as well.
Well, are they going to die from it? Is that it? We're going to find dead rats from this?
I think when they look at ground squirrel abatement, because they're worried about the hillsides near the schools, I don't know that they're using mechanical means to remove the ground squirrels, but I may be wrong. I'm not sure what they're doing. I think that's JL may need to ask the Rancho Simi Park District what the process is.
Right. And Wayne Nakaoka was the one that the school district said to contact for more information.
There was chemicals that they used to to control this vermins, I would say, but
so that could affect the rat. Yes,
yeah.
Janice.
So yeah, they applied some chemicals there.
Well, if there's chemicals, that means the dogs will get them.
Yep. The Oak Park Committee Council approved the use of this, so that's it. Just to let you know.
Well, that would explain Mayboyer.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to know what's in those chemicals because it can actually harm the domestic animals that are going to be in Mayboyer, which we have plenty of.
So can you, JL, can you take that action to talk to Wayne about that in Rancho Simi and see if we can get some more information on the chemicals being used and whether it impacts a broader number of animals than just the ground squirrels they're concerned about, how they're handling it? I think, Janice, that would be a good thing to follow up on for JL. Is that okay, Janice?
Oh yeah, I put him on the email when I wrote to Wayne, but I didn't hear back from JL or Wayne.
Okay.
No, Wayne is out, so he's on vacation. So anyway, we'll follow up with Janice.
Thank you. Janice, anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, I've got quite a few things. I have to report on Triumpho Water and Sanitation District and also Oak Park Unified School District. The first day of school is Tuesday, August 9th. It's just 1.5 weeks away from today, so right around the corner. And then with Triumpho, our drought continues, and Triumpho's communicating updates to customers via social media, website, and telephone. And they're working with larger HOAs and RSRPD and schools who use recycled water. And sometimes some potable water. But overall, the numbers look great. The potable usage is down 23% and recycled usage is down 25%. And I think all of us see dead lawns, which show the compliance in our neighborhood. Janice, one of the things you had asked about was recycled water. And I did bring that up to Mark Norris, who's the general manager of Triumpho. And him and his staff evaluated providing a fill station in Oak Park. And based on the cost to staff a fill station, and since the fill station at Las Virgenes is only 7 miles away, the decision was not to add in an additional fill station locally in Oak Park, just 7 miles away. So let me see, I think we had a report from the operations manager that he went and filled up 2 5-gallon containers at Las Virgenes Recycled Center on Saturday. And he said there were 20 Oak Park residents there on Saturday between 8 and 1 p.m. You don't need to make reservations, but you do need to take a training class that takes about 45 minutes, and be sure to label your containers that is for recycled water. I just have a couple other items. I want to mention that we had a free WaterWise class last Saturday at May Boyer Rec Center from 10 to 11, and there were 26 attendees on drip irrigation. And we have 4 more classes coming up every Saturday, July 30th, August 6th, August 13th, and August 20th, same place, May Boyer Rec Center from 10 to 11, it's free. Saturday, July 30th is the topic's replacing your lawn. Then August 6th is Fire Smart and Water Wise topic. August 13th is Growing California Native. And August 20th is Drought Tolerant Gardening, Design and Maintenance. And I also want to mention that Saturday, August 13th from 1 to 4 p.m., the Pure Water Demo Facility in off Las Virgenes is having gelato tasting. And it's going to be made from the purified water from the demo facility. And that's it for me. We're on to public comments.
Jane, I had a quick question.
Sure.
For July 30th at May Boyer Park, do you have to register, or can you just?
No, you don't have to register. Well, let me see. I can't remember whether you have to register. I think you can sign up, but you can just walk in as well. I think either way is okay.
Okay.
And like I said, I think they had something like over 40 signups for the one last Saturday, but you know, people found other things to do and only 26 folks showed up. So I think it would be safe for you to just walk in as well.
Okay, thanks.
But you could go out to the Triumpho website and register if you'd like.
Okay.
So we're going to move on to public comments. I'm going to limit everybody to 3 minutes. We have Brian Matson. I think he sent in quite a bit of documentation. We'll start with him.
Brian,
Matson?
I'm looking for him. Hold on. Oh, you know what? I don't know if he's
still here. He was here,
call, but I have his written comment, so I can just read that.
Oh, I thought I had seen him.
He
earlier.
was on earlier, but I might have popped off. But I can read his comment. So
okay, thank you.
No problem. I can even share the photos in a second. Let me get through the reading.
Sure.
Well, actually, I'll just share it. Hold on one second.
Okay. I'm so sorry that we missed him because he had quite a detailed write-up.
Yes. So he says, I have several issues and supporting pictures that I would like to bring to the attention of the Oak Park MAC for their meeting on Thursday, July 28th. Issue 1, there are 3 steel plates that have been abandoned on Golden Eagle at Truesdale in Oak Park. They have been there for more than 3 weeks after the gas company dug up the road at Golden Eagle and Canaan. They are a traffic issue as the ones are beginning to disappear. As the cones are beginning to disappear and drivers cannot see them sticking out into the street. I took this pic on July 11th at 6:08 a.m. Reported to Public Works via their website at 8:49 p.m. on July 25th. Public Works should be travel through the area to look for these issues on a regular basis, especially after a construction project. Here is the
So Venice, do we know if that's been taken care of?
I've sent this to Public Works. I can ask.
My understanding is they're still there.
Yeah, I can
Oh.
ask Chuck if he's aware. Well, he received the public comment as well. Issue 2. The area along Bowfield Avenue is not being maintained on a regular basis. The landscape company for Oak Park Enhanced Landscape seems to not be able to get their crew onto the street. Look at all the missing sprinkler heads by the apartment complex at the corner. The area from Bowfield and Hoffman all the way to the cul-de-sac at the opening to Canaan is a mess, and landscapers have not been there for more than 6 months. Look at the trees that have new growth from the trunk, and the bushes have not been maintained and are growing without any maintenance. These pictures were taken on July 25th. I reported this to Public Works, but their system will not allow for more than 1 photo to be submitted. I am providing all to the MAC for their review. So there's.
Okay, well, one quick question there, Venice. Is this the apartments, is this CS4 or is it the apartments duty?
Again, let me see if I can find Chuck and
Chuck, that's
Chuck
my-
to unmute. Or sorry. I did the wrong one. Sorry. There we go.
Now. Yes, we've notified Enhanced Landscape, so they're looking into that.
Okay, so Chuck, that is our county land there.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Do you know about this one, Chuck?
No, I know it's referred to Roads and
Roads and
Transportation, the encroachment section.
Okay.
They would have issued the permit that allowed the work to happen in the street.
Okay. Finally, these are.
I thought this one, the
photos.
last one was funny about the curb because we just spent so much time getting that in place.
Right.
Yeah.
So these are all the photos that I'll just go through again. This was provided. Sidewalk and curb construction on Hawthorne, just past Rockfield toward Bowfield Avenue, who approved the 2 replacement projects on Hawthorne. The curb now rises to a normal height of 6 inches to 15 inches on one location and 14 inches in the second one. This cannot be to standard. No car could park and open their doors in either of these 2 locations. Who allowed this type of work to be done? They dug out the sidewalk, then poured massive excess because they did not dig down deep enough. Just raise the curb height with I'm assuming no forethought. Reported to Public Works on July 25th.
So who's gonna respond to-
Denise, will we respond to him on that one?
Yeah, that's a done deal. We
No, I know. We worked hard to get that.
I
there,
know.
But I mean,
2 years.
I know. I'm aware.
will we
yeah.
respond to him?
We'll
Will I
respond,
respond to him?
yeah.
Will you respond to? Okay.
Yeah, we'll provide a response. So anyways.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay. I'll stop.
Do we have any other public comments? Anybody else?
Yes, Carolyn Cass Barton has asked
Okay, and
you
just so
unmute.
everybody knows that I'm limiting you to 3 minutes. Go ahead, Carolyn.
Yes, hi. Well, it's interesting to see that picture and someone complaining about it because we
I
fought
know.
hard
I
to have
know.
those trees preserved. And
I
this
know.
was the county's solution.
Right.
And I understand they're going to be presenting us some kind of sidewalk, whatever new information. And I want to know when that's going to be. And that Linda gave a fabulous presentation last time to have us have our sidewalk grinding be at 2 inches and the various, curving around the trees and all that. And I want to make sure that we are informed as to when that's going to be presented, because I have been doing a lot of thinking and research about sidewalks, and reading through their proposal originally about how the homeowner is responsible for the sidewalks, but then they don't, tell us whether we can hire on our own anyone to come and repair our sidewalk in the front. There's no clear guidelines about that. We've had a presentation by Safe Sidewalks, which is a wonderful solution to keeping our sidewalks safe. We're grinding them down in a very well done manner. I would like to find out whether we can get some kind of plan where the homeowners can work together to hire. There's no guidelines about how we're supposed to take care of our sidewalks, and yet we're told we're being responsible. Okay, so it's got to be clarified. And then compliments to them fixing and saving those trees. I'm ecstatic that they saved the trees. And by the way, no one parks next to those trees at Hawthorne and opens their door. Granted, they couldn't open their door there, but that's at a corner area where no one would be parking anyway. So I realize his comments are very, real, but in reality, no one parks along that street anyway. So, on Hawthorne, that's more of people who walk on the sidewalk and who wish to have the trees saved. So anyway, are we going to have sidewalks on our next agenda so we can talk about it as an item? That's what I want to know.
I haven't been given a date for when it's going to the Board of Supervisors, so.
Yeah, but they shouldn't be sending anything to the Board of Supervisors before we in Oak Park have a way to review what is being told. We're being told what to do. And I mean, for example, in their guidelines, they say, oh, grinding sidewalks is unsightly. Well, it's unsightly in front of my house. I've been saying that for months and months, and yet it's
Carolyn, I think
so,
my understanding is the next step was we're going to wait for September when it gets presented to the Board of Supervisors. They had already come and talked to us.
But the Board of Supervisors will approve something that we have no input on.
Well, the input would be at the Board of Supervisors.
Right. That's the
exactly
next
the
step
same
for
thing
us.
you do here, but at the Board of Supervisors.
Correct.
So there's a date set for that, or is that?
They haven't given us a date yet.
My understanding is it'll be in September. But Carolyn, your 3 minutes is up, and well, the next step, as we explained at the last board meeting, is for you to work directly at the supervisor level on issues for the sidewalks. But we don't know yet. So
well,
I mean
Gary Beneducci is willing to go to the Board of Supervisors and give a presentation about his sidewalk grinding, and he works all over in the city of Ventura, all over everywhere. So we want to be able to use him
as soon as we know a date, we just don't have a date yet. So we'll keep you informed, Carolyn.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I think the sidewalks look fabulous where they repaired them.
I know. I thought that was funny that he complained, but I don't think he understood about the trees at this point. I mean, he wasn't there.
Right, and
So
saving the tree at Conifer and Canaan is just magnificent, and I'm deeply, deeply appreciative.
Is there anybody else for public comments, Denise?
I don't have any more hands raised.
Okay, we're going to move on to item number 11.
Sorry, Seema?
Jane, one quick thing, sorry about that sidewalk and the tree. Maybe, one thing we could consider is, because not everyone is aware why we did the sidewalks that way to save the trees. I don't know, maybe a little sign right there saying, thank you, Ventura County Public Works, for saving our trees. A lot of people are not aware of that. We all know because we've been so involved for the last couple of years. But someone who hasn't been, they don't understand the tree roots and the whole saving the trees. So just something we might need to do more public announcement or PSA.
Yeah, maybe we need to do some more PR and get something in the Acorn about it, because I think Scott Steepleton had written a note about saving the tree at May Boyer, so that's a good idea to do some more PR follow-up.
Yeah, I think so.
Thanks, Seema.
People understand. Okay.
We're going to move on to item 11A, which is advisory matters, conditional use permit for new public safety radio tower at Fire Station 36. Denise, who do we have to speak on that?
I have Christopher Alberts. I've asked you to unmute.
Welcome, Christopher. Thank you for speaking.
I do have a presentation I would like to share.
Awesome.
Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Good evening. My name is Christopher Alberts, and I am the case planner for the proposed conditional use permit for the Oak Park Fire Station. The project site is located in Oak Park community near the intersection of Deer Hill Road and Canaan Road. The proposed conditional use permit would authorize the permitting of the existing Oak Park Fire Station and the construction of a new 81-foot tall public safety radio tower. In addition to the construction of the tower, the proposed permit would allow for the deconstruction of an existing 36-foot tower located on top of the fire station. Other project components include the construction of a 72 square foot communication shed, as well as the mounting of a FAA light. This photo you see here is a photo I took from a site visit at the fire station. The photo shows the proposed location of the proposed tower. The tower will actually be located behind the basketball hoop here.
And can you zoom in on that photo anyway, or?
I'm not in presentation mode, but after the presentation, I might be able to zoom in a little bit on it.
Okay, thanks.
This photo here shows the existing tower located on top of the fire station that's being proposed for deconstruction. Now I'm going to show you guys a few photos of how the proposed tower has been.
I can see that big tower now on the right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Right here is the existing tower. And the photo's small. We can zoom in on that too afterwards if we need to. But I'm going to continue and show you guys a few examples on how the proposed tower has been implemented at other fire stations in Ventura County. This here is the example from the Somis Fire Station. The proposed tower will be utilizing the same design, which is the lattice design here. The tower you see here is approximately 82 feet tall. This here is another example from the Simi Valley Fire Station. You can see the tower here in the background. Again, it's approximately about 81, 82 feet in height. That concludes the presentations. I'm open for any questions, as well as I believe the applicant's representative is here as well.
Any questions, Seema? Any concerns?
Yeah, so I understand that they want a permit, but what is the reason for this? Why do they need this new tower now?
The reasoning is to allow for better emergency, better access to emergency communication. So the proposed tower is taller than the existing, and the height will allow for them to reach signals during different hazards such as foggy events, whereas the existing tower is having issues doing.
So does the Oak Park MAC have any it's just our, I mean, we're just giving advice, right? It's not, is the county making the decision?
He's advising us.
You make a recommendation that they can then take to the planning commission or the board of supervisors. I'm not sure what the next step is.
It'll be going to the planning commission, and if you guys have any recommendations, it's something the planning department would consider and bring forward to. And if changes to the project are needed, that's something that could be discussed as well.
Do we need to make a motion, Denise?
Well,
yeah, I have one public comment.
I think we're still discussing it because.
So yeah, if you want to still discuss, but just so you know.
Jeff, I mean, I understand the need for it. It looks very industrial, you know, and it's in a very prominent spot because our fire station is right there, right? You can see it from Canaan. So I totally understand, you know, we need it. But I'm just concerned. It looks very, very industrial looking, and it's going to be very visible from, you know, just Canaan and people going up and down Deer Hill. That's my only concern. It's pretty tall.
Yeah. So, JL, any thoughts from you or the Fire Safe Council? Were you aware of this new tower?
No, I'm not aware of the new tower. My thoughts is that is there a way for you to hide, hide the tower or camouflage the tower, just like some of the cell sites? Is that an option here?
Yeah, going the stealth route is definitely an option. And the applicant's representatives here, Brianne, if you would like to chime in too, if this is something you guys would be willing to do.
I've asked you, Joan. There we go.
Hi.
Welcome, Brianne. Thank you. Sorry you had to wait so long to present.
No, it's okay. Thank you all for listening to us. I actually am taking notes of all of your comments, And we are going to take your recommendations and see what we can do to make sure that we accommodate in areas that we can. We have looked at the stealth option, but we are proposing this option that we have in the application just because it's standard across the entire county. So we have the same tower going across the entire county, but that doesn't mean that we won't entertain the stealth option. So I took it as a no, and then we can discuss it with our IT group and our facilities group along with planning.
What would a stealth option look like? Would it be hidden, or would it be, what does stealth option mean?
So from my understanding, it would almost look like a tree. It would blend into the background of wherever it's at. So there are some trees, as you could see in the picture. I know it was smaller, but there were some trees that we could try and mimic and hide it there. And that would be what stealth would be.
So
Thank
like
you.
those cell phone towers that look like trees, right? We see those along the freeway and everything.
Yeah.
I appreciate that because, you know, it's a very residential neighborhood and in a very prominent spot, the fire station. So if there is a way to do a stealth option, I think the residents, it would blend in better. But I understand the need, and we absolutely want, safety and communication for the fire department. If there's just some way we can work with you on that.
Yes, I'll take the note, and I'll definitely take that back to our group.
Janice, do you have any comments or questions for Brianne or Christopher?
At this time, thank you.
Seema, do you want to make a motion to consider the stealth mode, stealth option?
Yeah, I'm not ready to approve it yet. I would like to see a stealth option. So does that need to be a motion, or just you will get back to us, Brianna or Christopher?
I'll work with Christopher, and then I believe we'll loop back in with you.
With Denise, that would be great.
Do you know when it's going to the planning commission?
There's not a date scheduled yet for the planning commission. Yeah,
that
we
would
would
be
like
excellent.
to at least figure out any discrepancies between any parties to ensure that we bring this forward with everybody, I guess, happy.
Well, thank you for the update. That really helps. It's exciting, especially after our concern and reports on the fire safety issues. It's good to hear that we're improving the communications tower for the fire department. So thank you.
Oh, and Jane, when we had the Verizon cell tower issue, I mean, this is not the same thing, but I'm just saying, I think residents may want to be aware of this also.
Agreed. That's a good point, Christopher. Is there a way to make this, before it goes to the planning commission, available to notify residents that this is proposed? Or I'm not sure how you communicate as a case planner to the residents. Is this something that's posted in our Acorn or in the Ventura Star?
Oh, sorry.
If you want to leave Brianne,
I'm sorry,
Brianne and Christopher
I've asked you to
unmuted.
unmute. I didn't realize you were muted.
And also Brianne, just to make sure they can respond.
Sure.
Thank
I
you.
apologize. I didn't realize I was had to hit OK again to unmute. Yeah, the public will be notified prior to the project going to planning commission. There will be a notification sent in the mail to the surrounding addresses, about like 300 feet or so. And so the public would be notified prior to project going forward.
Awesome. That's perfect. Brianne, anything else you want to say?
No, I just want to thank you everyone for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for coming to the meeting. We really appreciate it. Anything else, Denise, that you want to bring up on this topic? Okay, we're going to move on to item 11B, the CSA 4 landscape priority list.
Let me find, there you are. Oh, you moved.
Everyone.
Hi, Valerie.
Hi, hold on. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Valerie Lopez, and I work for Real Estate Services with Chuck Alvarez. Today, I'll be providing information on the landscape items we have in today's agenda. So the first one is regarding the CSA 4 landscape priority list. And Mr. Eric Steiner requested that the MAC add a landscape priority list to an upcoming agenda so that a discussion of these landscape concerns could be addressed by the MAC. And while staff acknowledges that there are some landscape needs in the community, we concur with the direction of the MAC that staff should be focusing more time on resources on turf removal and replanting with drought-tolerant plants. The time involved in documenting the locations and square footage of turf areas, applying for available turf removal rebates, and working with landscape architect on a new landscape plan that meets the rebate criteria, and then contracting for the planting is considerable. So CSA 4 currently lacks the staff time and money to handle any landscape projects at this time. Any questions regarding this item?
No, I think, Valerie, that's exactly what the guidance that we discussed at the last meeting, that we want to focus on the drought issues and making sure that we replace the turf. So I agree. Seema, you're on the landscape committee. Is there anything you want to bring up?
No, I think I understand. So what are you saying, Valerie, is like issues that the residents are like Eric Stein, whatever his name was.
Steiner, yeah.
Those are a lower priority for now than doing our, drought tolerant turf removal projects at the time.
Yeah, right now we are doing a lot of work with the application for the turf removal project. So we are focusing on that and getting it submitted.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that. I agree with your department's priority there. I think that's really good.
Okay, that's great.
Thank you, Valerie. Do we have any other comments from board members, from JL or
Where is
Janice?
JL or Janice?
No.
I've asked you to unmute.
JL, you're okay? Janice, you're okay?
Yes, I'm okay.
It's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So we're moving on to item 11C, recycled water sign options for medians. Is that you, Valerie?
Yeah, so
Thank you.
So we provided some examples of commercially available recycled water signs, and they're included in your agenda packet for discussion.
Yes. I think you can, I think, I don't know that we need to make the decision. I think you can make a decision on what's appropriate.
Okay.
Well, yes, and that's fine. Supervisor Parks just wanted it to be on the agenda so that you're aware. So if you had a option or a preference, the MAC.
I think personally, for me, I would leave it up to Valerie and Chuck to make a decision on what's appropriate. They're all pretty similar, but I agree that we need signage.
Yeah, I think so.
One
And
has a nice little tree on it.
and you guys came up with the number of 25 of them. You need that many.
Oh, sorry, Valerie, you're unmuted. You're muted again.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, we would be ordering 25 signs. And you guys were mentioning the first one with the tree, and that one, because it's considered an educational sign, we would still need to go to the State Water Resources Control Board for approval, because it doesn't have the symbol with the cup. With the line
I think
crossing
that's what
through
I'm
it.
saying. I think it'd be best for you and Chuck to make the decision on this. We could say what looks pretty, but I think you're the experts at making the decision. So I'd like to leave that to you.
I agree with that. Let you guys figure out what the best way and easiest way, and the sooner we get them out there, I think the better too.
Okay, sounds good.
Is there, let me see if Janice or JL, I've asked you to unmute if you want to say anything.
JL or Janice, any other comments?
Well, I keep looking for my unmute button from Venice.
I'll keep sending it.
Valerie, is this about the plantings? Am I following this all right?
No, it's because the medians have recycled water. Our obligation, we had gone to Triumpho to ask them about signage, and they said it's our obligation to provide it ourselves. And so this was a follow-up for Ventura County Public Works to help us get recycled water signs in the medians.
Oh, okay. I think that's a great idea.
It's not for planting, it's just
It's
for
not for
notification.
planting. Have we tailored that, or have we going to or table that, or are we going to continue talking about your planting in those areas that we discussed about maybe, what was it, a couple meetings ago?
I think we're looking at removing turf as our priority now.
But we're not discussing what kind of plants we're putting in.
Yeah, once we get all the measurements, we will be receiving a contract from GSA so we can have a landscape contractor create that landscape plan for us. So we're still not at that point, but once we are, we'll present that to you guys.
So we'll be able to see what your
Right.
ideas
What the
are.
plan-
what
we'll
kind of plants
You'll
we're
be
gonna
involved
using.
in the planning. Yeah.
Okay, great. Super. Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to item 12A, information items, update on CSA 4 enhanced landscape contract. Is that you, Valerie, as well?
Yeah, I'll be presenting it.
Thank you.
The Max Request PWA Real Estate Services has been providing the MAC with different CSA service contracts each month. And this month we'll be looking at enhanced landscape. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask.
So this is for a renewal of their contract for CS4?
Yeah, it's already, the terms already set. We're just presenting these contracts for you guys because it was a request. And it would give you a good idea of how CSA 4's budget is doing. So that's why we're presenting these contracts to you.
Okay, how do we see the contract?
Oh, I can share it. Hold on. And it was provided in your agenda packet as well.
It was, I printed it out. It was like 20
It's
pages or something.
40.
So,
Yeah.
40, yeah. So it prints back in front on my printer, but I was
okay.
like, why did I print this whole thing? I'm using up all my ink. But anyway,
You must
it
have
was
missed
in our packet.
Okay, I can look at it later then, Benice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you need anything from us, Valerie?
No, it's just informational.
It's just
Thank you.
information. Okay.
Can we go on to 12B, proposal for the removal of dead trees?
Yeah, so there are 2 tree removal proposals attached. One proposal is for the removal of 3 dead trees that have fallen. And the second proposal is for the removal of 3 dead trees that are still standing. We have been told that 6 trees were damaged in the Woosley fire and they were not removed at that time in the hopes that the trees would recover. But unfortunately, the trees did not recover. And this is an informational item. The cost of the tree removal is less than 10,000. So the max approval at the expenditure is not required.
Would you like me to share the contract on the screen?
I think I'm okay. I mean, I have it in the packet, so I printed everything out for myself.
Yeah, I saw that. And anyway, it's informational because it's under 10,000. So Chuck and Valerie are able to approve that. And
My only concern was that there's another dead tree on the median near Los Arcos, and I didn't see it on the list. If you can, at your convenience, just double check on that one. It's in the median right by Los Arcos. It
Okay.
didn't look like it was on the list of the dead trees that, at least what I read. So it's yellow. I mean, it's completely dead. It's just,
Okay, I'll let
if you could
enhance know.
look at that. Yeah.
Okay, we'll look into it.
Anything else, Valerie?
That's all.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you waiting. I'm sorry it took so long.
No worries.
We're going to move on to written communications, item 13. Seema, do you have any written communications you want to bring up?
no, I don't have any.
JL, written communications?
None.
Janice, written communications?
None. Oh, except for the rats.
Yeah, I have that too
I
on
got
my
a lot of
list.
communicate- I
Yeah.
got on those. Yeah.
Um,
Is that something we can put on the agenda? Because we do need to do follow-up and to find out.
I agree with you. We'll put
Yeah.
it on the agenda for September. Is that okay, Venice? Just do a follow-up on with RSRPD on what's happening with the ground squirrel abatement.
Sure, and that's something that jail is gonna bring.
Yeah, JL's gonna follow up, but
Sure. Okay.
we may want to invite Wayne Nakatori or whatever his last name is to come as well, in case anybody has any questions on that. I think it's pretty significant impact to our community.
Sure. Sorry, we moved on to future agenda items.
Yes, please.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I do have some written communications.
you
I
do?
just wanted to
Okay.
mention email from Debbie Novak on July 1st regarding new graffiti and rusty irrigation boxes. And then I replied to her, and I also copied you, Venice.
Mhm.
I got an email from Harry Medved on July 12th regarding the hazardous equipment on the side of Canaan Road and Spanish Oaks Lane. I forwarded that to you, Venice, and it looks like you forwarded it to Chuck Alvarez. That may be one of the accidents that the CHP was talking about. It looks like there was a traffic accident and they went up on the sidewalk and took out a utility box.
Right, that might have been.
I also mentioned that I got an email from Janice Metz on July 14th regarding the dead rats in her neighborhood and questioning, and Venice, you followed up on that with Oak Park Unified School District, but let's try to get that on our agenda. And then I also got an email from Jana Orkney on July 15th about the follow-up to the Agoura Hills element. And then I also wanted to mention that Public Works fixed the Medea Creek Middle School street markers. They got that done just before school started. That was a request from back in December that those road markers, dividers were just, had been deteriorating and leaving a lot of debris in the road and causing problems for cars. So they got that fixed, and I did forward that on to the facilities janitorial staff in Medea Creek Middle School. And I think the guy's name was Jeff Clark. He was very happy to have that done. So he went out there and personally thanked the Public Works team for doing that. Venice, did you have any written comments that you want to bring up? So we're on to item 14, future agenda items. Does anybody other than the rat issue have any other agenda items?
You can always email me.
Okay, we didn't quite make 9 o'clock. It's 9:02. I'm going to adjourn the meeting, but I want to mention that we do not have a MAC meeting in August. Our next meeting will be September 30th, and I'm going to adjourn our Oak Park MAC meeting at 9:02. Thank you, everybody, for your time.
Thank you. Have a wonderful evening and enjoy
Thank you.
Your month off.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Let's see how